Okay, enough thumbnail. Thumbnail. It's been a long day. Okay. I haven't figured out clearly how to light this up and to get it to show with the ugly cord. So here she is. I just really wanted to hop on here and chit chat because the pageant's over, so we have a lot to talk about. So this episode, I felt like it's fitting, you know, the timing of it, the pageant being done. When was finals? I think finals day was June 30th and it is currently July 10th. So I have had time to process it. The pageant's been done for a little bit and it's still fresh in my mind and fresh in my heart. So I kind of just wanted to hop on here and chat to you guys about how my experience was, how my first year as Miss in the Miss Colorado USA pageant was. Not only that, but how important pageantry is to me as a whole, and kind of just my whole experience throughout pageantry. Also, something I'm trying to learn is my posture. I used to have a really insanely good posture as a kid. I've always had good posture, and then something about these the past few years, I think working in the service industry for years has done quite a bit of damage to it. But I heard this, and obviously you're gonna be like, Kelsey, this is common sense. But pinching your shoulder blades, like, that's how you should think of it, like, pinch your shoulder blades, but also, like, it's been a long day, and I just wanna lay down on the couch. Also, excuse me if I sound out of breath. I'm having the anxiety breathing. I don't know what's going on. I'm not someone who's an anxious person. I'm just not. I get anxious, you know, with normal things that I should be anxious about. Big events, like pageantry, all of that sort of stuff. Of course you're anxious because you care about something. You want it to be, the outcome to be a certain way. But just having like day-to-day anxiety I've never experienced. So this is a kind of a new thing for me, and I think it's because I'm not on go survival mode really necessarily anymore. So I think my body is like anxious just resting and being like, okay, well, pick up the pace, because when I'm doing stuff, like I'm at work, I'm working out, I'm doing school even, I feel really fine. But I don't know, there's something about like sitting, like just doing my makeup, or like sitting trying to read. I'm like, sitting doing this, even I'm like, anyways, but we'll get into that. So let's just start with, I guess, my journey into pageantry. At 15 was the first time I ever competed in a pageant. It was pretty freshly 15, I think. Although I have always been in the world of pageantry, for example, I think most women can relate to this. Toddlers and Tiaras, that was my jam. Okay, I watched Toddlers and Tiaras, Honey Boo Boo, like it's nobody's business. Also, can we talk about the fact that I met Honey Boo Boo at the mall? I just met Honey Boo Boo coming out of the mall. Like my icon. Okay, anyways. So that's always been a big part of my life. I've just always been so girly. So the glitz, the glamour of it all, the makeup, the hair, the dresses, the posing. I was like, this is something I need in my life. This is what I want to do. Obviously, you know, not understanding the entire gist of it or what pageantry really was, all I saw were sparkly dresses and makeup. And I was like, I'm in. I'm sold. So pageantry was always something I wanted to do growing up, and my mom was always like, no. It's full of nasty women, it's so superficial, you know, it's not something you want to be a part of. All the girls are brats, yada yada yada. So kind of had that out of my mind, and then I'm pretty sure I got an ad on Instagram for the Miss USA system. This was back in probably 2017, 2018. I got an ad on Instagram, and I remember just signing up and being like, okay, like, I should do this, or I'm just gonna sign up, you know, like, willy-nilly, just signing up doesn't mean anything. And then I remember I got an application that said I was accepted, and I was like, oh, no way. No freaking way, okay? I don't remember exactly how this conversation went down. I'm sure there was a lot of crying and begging and like, Mom, please, this is my dream. Like, I need to do this. I don't remember a ton of it. I just remember it was a big struggle. We had a big conversation about it, and I've always been a very strong-willed person. When you tell me no, it's just no is not in my vocabulary. If you're gonna tell me I can't do something, I'm gonna prove you wrong and I'm gonna do it. Like, you just have to let me. You have to let me learn the hard in every aspect of my life. I'm someone that has to learn the hard way. I need to do it. Trial by fire, basically, is how I live my life, okay? So I end up convincing her to do pageantry. And pageantry, let me tell you, is expensive. It's like, I mean, it's like competitive dance. You gotta buy costumes, you know, you have to pay to even do it. You have to do all the things, okay? So it's expensive. So this was a very big deal for me and my family. This was a very big treat. And my first year, I went into this completely blind and expecting toddlers and tiaras. But I was like, you know what? I'm a strong-willed person. Nobody can steal my thunder, break this train down, okay? Mom, I'll be fine. Like, I can put up with mean girls, okay? So I remember just getting a dress at I think at the shop that my mom had gotten her wedding dress, just out of like the special occasion section. Excuse me, but I loved it. Just fine, you know, wearing leggings and a t-shirt for the activewear, because teens in the Miss USA system, I don't know what it was the year, the Miss USA organization, I don't know if Trump owned the entire Miss Universe organization or if he just owned the Miss USA organization, because they're, you know, one and the same. I don't know if I don't know what ownership, like, the brand should extend it to. But I remember when he gave it up, oh no, because it was like 2016 when he gave it. He gave it up when he started running for office, but he used to own the Miss USA organization, we'll just say it at that. And teens used to have to do swimwear, and then when he gave it up, whoever took it over, I don't know who took it over after Trump directly, but they changed it to teens doing activewear, so that was a thing. So teens did activewear, you know, just wore what I would wear to school on a daily basis. And I just had so much fun buying all the things. And I remember I got there and I was like, holy cow, like, this is not what I thought it was going to be. These women came in here with an agenda. These women came in here with a plan. These women are established women. And I was like, I was just here for funsies, okay? I had no idea what to expect. And when I tell you, it was nothing like toddlers and tiaras. It really wasn't. And this year was extremely different from any year that I competed in afterwards, because I remember, did I have a roommate? Don't mind the old pipes in the background doing their thing, okay? Anyways, I don't think my mom was allowed to stay with me. I think you had a roommate. I'm pretty sure you had a roommate in a hotel, and it wasn't the hotel that was near the auditorium where we performed at. We performed at a college, we still perform at the same place, at College Auditorium, and there's a really nice hotel next to it that now you'll go and stay at and stuff. But we were not there, because we were shuttled in a school bus to the auditorium to go to rehearsals, and I really don't remember if we had a roommate. I'm pretty sure we did. And we spent the whole weekend together, like team bonding. We had breakfast, lunch, dinner all together. They don't do that anymore. At least here in Colorado, the future productions, they don't do that anymore. I'm not sure why, because I think it was so cutie and fun. But yeah, they don't do that anymore. And I just remember I was probably the youngest, one of the youngest girls for sure doing this. And clearly I had no idea what I was doing, like these other women. And I remember feeling so like overwhelmed and out of my element in a sense. And the older teens who, you know, in my eyes, like these were such big women, like strong women, you know, and they just surrounded me and enveloped me with so much love. So much love. Oh, I for sure had a roommate. I'm just now remembering her. I'm getting a vision. I don't remember her name or if I still have her on anything, but I just remember feeling so much love from these women and getting so much encouragement and feeling so empowered. And it was a community and a love and a group that I've never felt before, truly. Like, I've never felt anything like that. And I was so scared, and I just remember feeling so safe and just loved. And I was shocked because all I knew about pageantry, all I was expected to know was like catty women, pettiness, all these awful qualities in women were gonna be here. And I genuinely, from the bottom of my heart, didn't experience any of that. And I remember one girl in specific. She was probably one of the old, I think that was her last year that I did it. She had aged out, so she had to have been 18, 19, and I was 15. Freshly 15. And she just like held my hand the whole through and was just kind of my buddy and so encouraging. And I was like, wow. I went there, I was so nervous, and it was so funny looking at these photos of me and these, you know, these stage photos. I was so scared. I mean, I can fake it till I make it, let me tell you. But the adrenaline, so scared. And it's just so funny to look back on. And I didn't place, but I had won the Activewear Award. So there's, in the Miss USA system, there's non-finalist awards. So like you could be best, you didn't place, but you could be best in, like you didn't place in all categories. So I should probably start with this. You compete in interview, evening gown, teen, activewear, Miss Swim. So those are the 3 categories that you're judged on, and then if you make top 5, you have to answer one of those onstage questions, and then I don't know if it's necessarily a judged category, but I think that's how they narrow it down, you know, if they're in between 2 girls and someone had a way better answer than another one, you know what I mean? But anyways, those are the categories you judge you in. So if you don't place, you can win one of those awards, so like best in an interview, but clearly you didn't score well enough in any other department to earn you a spot in semifinalists or, you know, whatever. I won activewear, I remember. And literally, you could have told me I won. Seriously, you could have told me I won. I was like, this was awesome. This was awesome. I just had the best time, the best experience, and I was like, I need to do this again. I need to do this again. But again, so expensive, so taxing, so yada yada yada. So I took a year off and then competed again. Did I take a year? I might have taken 2 years off. I'm pretty sure, don't quote me on it, but I could have taken a year or 2 off. We'll go with 2. Took 2 years off, and then I had really gotten into the idea of pageantry or the world of pageantry by the next time I wanted to compete. Yes, definitely, it was definitely 2 years off because I'm pretty sure I was 17 the next time I competed. So really had gotten into the world of pageantry by then, and then I had found my amazing pageant coach. Shout out to Chloe Brown. Also, I'm actually looking at the gown I wore when I was 17 competed. That might have been, I don't know what year that is. I'm not good with math in that department, okay? Anyways, found Chloe. This breathing is going to drive me nuts. I'm sorry. Had to just blurt that out. Squirrel moment. But seriously, I need to get a hold of this. Let's take some deep breaths. I can't take myself seriously. Okay. Me. I'll apply some lip gloss break. I love this stuff, by the way. The Jisoo lip oil. Anyways, okay, back to Chloe. I don't know how I got a hold of her, how I knew she existed, couldn't tell you. But by the grace of God, I met Chloe, and she is an amazing, amazing pageant coach, and really upped my game. I was like, if I'm gonna do this, like, I'm gonna freaking do it, okay? This is my time to shine. So I did all the things. I remember, and this is why I still have this gown, because it's just so sentimental. I worked pretty hard. As hard as I could have worked at that point in my life, for sure. My grandma surprised me and bought me literally the gown of my dreams at the time. It was pink and sparkly and had an overskirt, and that's what made this dress a moment. Now, in preparation for this pageant, I think, I don't know the exact timeline of it, probably 2 months before, I had acquired, by luck, an intestinal disease called C. diff. I got it, it's a whole different episode, okay? But I had acquired this intestinal disease, and that thing really almost killed me. Like, really almost killed me. Turns out I would have it chronic after the pageant. It was reoccurring, kept coming back. Duh, that's what chronic means, Kelsey. Anyways, kept coming back, couldn't get rid of it, but thank God it had gone, or I had it at bay. I believe by the time the pageant hit, we had figured out what it was, because I'd been in the hospital so many times, they couldn't figure out what it was. So I'm pretty sure by the time this pageant started, my intestinal disease, we had figured out it was C. diff, and I had been treating for it. I had been on medication for it, trying to get rid of it. And luckily I was good for however long I needed to be for the pageant. But really weak, obviously wasn't able to do all the preparation stuff I needed to, because it wasn't entirely those 2 years in between, I really had no idea, all the work that goes into it, all the interview prep, how important that paperwork really truly is, wardrobe, how important that is, all of that sort of stuff. I had no idea, and this was my first year really getting into all of that so seriously. So having 2 months right before the pageant where I was literally deathly ill and couldn't do anything was pretty detrimental. Obviously, it was pretty detrimental, and I'm already a pretty small girl. I'm a really small girl. Granted, I'm a little lower right now because I had just obviously prepped for this pageant that just occurred, and I had hired a fitness trainer and all sorts of stuff, so I'm like 108, 109, 110 right now, in that range. And back then, which is pretty much like what I've maintained my whole life, is 110. And then after, when I competed for Miss Colorado Teen USA, back whenever that was, 2020, 2021, I think I was like 90 pounds. I was small. That thing killed me. Like, I couldn't walk, yada yada. Anyways, moral of the story is I was small and I was weak, and I obviously, had put all my heart, my prep into it, but there was obviously only so much I could do, right? Which I believe it's in, God's hands. It's all in due timing. Everything happens for a reason. But I honestly was just happy that I could do it. And it was definitely a different experience than the year or 2 years prior that I had done it. Obviously, I knew going into it what to expect more, and I was way more prepared, and I felt way more confident, yada, yada, yada. There is always, and this is what I learned, there's always going to be bad eggs, okay? Pageantry gets a general bad rep for everyone being shallow and there being bad eggs, and it's just a petty women environment. I didn't experience that at all my first year. Maybe that was me being naive. But I really truly had the most amazing experience 2 years prior. This experience, there were definitely some bad eggs, unfortunately. And it was pretty noticeable. And I remember being like, I'm not going to get into it because I think you never know who's watching, and I think that's pretty bad karma to put that into the universe out of somebody, because you never know. And again, at the time we were all teenagers, clearly, so you never know who's grown and who's changed and who's turned their perspective hopefully around, yada yada yada. But I just remember I was like, me and my mother both, I mean everyone, but me and my mother, speaking from experience, were like dumbfounded at the amount of cattiness portrayed from said bad eggs. And I remember we'd done the preliminary competition. I don't know how my interview went. It probably wasn't that great. Okay, I could talk forever, but pageantry is really, really, it's a different kind of interview, man. And it's something you really have to prepare for and work towards. It's not a regular job interview. You have to, it's almost like, excuse me, it's almost like training your brain to constantly sell yourself or brand yourself. You're honestly making a sales pitch for yourself. So for example, and I always use this because I think it's a perfect example of how a pageant interview is supposed to run. And not that these things aren't true, it's just training your brain to go there, which wouldn't happen, right? So if a judge or anybody asks you, what's your favorite color? It's not, oh, blue. Thanks. It's, oh, my favorite color is blue because it reminds me of the scrubs I wear every day as a pediatric nurse. So it's about training your brain to sell those key points of yourself and, why you would be the best title holder or why you would make the most difference, whatever that might be, right? So it's training your brain to go there. So I doubt my interview was anywhere where it needed to be. But I remember I had placed in the semifinalists. So for example, Colorado, there's probably 50 girls in teen and in Miss that are competing. So 50 for teen, 50 for Miss, or 40 and 40, whatever the number is. And so out of those 50, they call 15 semifinalists. So then those 15 semifinalists on the finals day end up recompeting. The scoreboard wipes clean and you end up recompeting. So, and then from there, a top 5 is called, on-stage question, then winners and all sorts of runners-up winners, all sorts of stuff. Anyways, so Sunday had came, finals day had came, and I had got called into top 15. And I was elated. I was over the moon. I was so excited. And you compete throughout the entire weekend in your alphabetical order, and you get assigned a number. So for example, this year I was contestant number 21, so I'm always next to contestant number 22, and I'm always next to contestant 20. So you're always around those girls. But when you get called into top 15 semifinalists, you are called in random order. So then that becomes your new number. So for example, this year I remember I was semifinalist number 9. So then I compete with next to 8, 9, 10. And those are completely girls from a different order, because they call it randomly. But I remember that Sunday we were getting ready to recompete, and I'm obviously standing backstage, and the girl behind me, and again, I speak nothing of someone's character, especially now. It's been however many years. But this was, it was a super sad moment for me, and I'm allowed to be upset about it. I had gotten pushed onto stage, And when you're learning these shows, okay, you're learning certain cues. So it's seamless, right? So you move to your mark when the director says so-and-so's name, like you're listening for these cues, right? And I had not had my cue yet. Okay, I had not had my cue yet. And I got pushed. The girl behind me, who was not behind me in any part of competition because we both made semifinalists, she goes, go, 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 pushes me. Thank God I came out of the womb ready to walk in heels, catch myself. I'm not completely on stage yet, but like I said with my dress, I had a big overskirt and a sequin part. So that overskirt in the tripping got caught on the sequins at the bottom of my shoes, because when I tell you, these amazing women that work this event, volunteer their time to set up the show, help you all weekend, chaperones as you may, fluff you out before you go on stage. They make sure your dress is laying the right way before you walk on stage. So it was set to go, okay, especially with an overskirt in a train. And I was pushed, obviously. The overskirt gets caught under the bottom of my shoe, under the sequins, and it is sticking. I'm not tripping, thank God, but it is sticking and it's noticeable, and I feel it, and I'm gonna cry. And I am walking across that entire stage, sticking, hitting my marks, and because it was stuck on that side, I had a little mover. I'd fluff the overskirt out, do whatever. I couldn't do that because it was stuck and it wouldn't move. And I remember being like, literally coming off that stage, bawling in tears. Bawling in tears. Because, you know, you recompete, that's your chance. That's your chance to make top 5. Obviously, interview plays a big part. Who would have even known if I would have made top 5? But I remember feeling so defeated. Feeling like, oh my God, all of my hard work down the drain in an instant. And it wasn't my fault. It wasn't my fault. If I were to trip, if I were to eat it on that stage, if I were to do something and I would have lost because of that, you know, that mistake that I made, the responsibility's on me. There's nobody to blame but myself. And I remember being so upset, and validly. I think that's a very valid reason to be upset. Okay? But again, moving on. I obviously didn't make top 5. And I just remember at the time feeling so upset, feeling so defeated. Again, I think everything happens for a reason. I think everything is in due time. And you learn lessons, valuable lessons. And what's so beautiful about pageantry is that it's just constant self-growth, and you're learning new life lessons. But I just remember being so upset. But there were so many qualities that were going into it. You know, I wasn't, you know, all there. I had an intestinal disease for months. How can you, and you continued to have it afterwards. How can you, you know, I wasn't there. And I also just, you know, I wasn't the right person. I would have never been a teen title holder, ever. And that's totally fine. But of course it's so hard to see it, you know, in the moment, because that was obviously something I'd worked hard for and I had put a lot of money into, and it was a big passion of mine. But, you know, it's okay, and life goes on, and it's a beautiful thing. But anyways, took another year off because, again, it's also very, you know, draining in a good way. But it takes a lot out of you. It takes a lot out of your brain, I'll tell you that. So I took another year off, and the last year I did a teen, I was 18. And I had never really reflected about it before. I kind of pushed that year out of my mind, out of my life, out of my forethought, because that year that I competed for the last time was, in my mind, pretty downright pitiful. This is really not sad. It's an amazing learning experience, but I'm phrasing it really sad, but it was downright pitiful. I did not give it the time, the energy, the manifestation. I didn't put work in on myself in order to earn anything, to be frank with you, which is something that I have come to love so much about pageantry. Is really truly at the end of the day, what's so unique about pageantry from any other sport, from any other competition, is that pageantry is a competition with literally nobody but yourself. If you're not going to put in the inner work, if you're not going to put in the time, the energy, all of that growth that is required in pageantry to be a genuine title holder, to really truly earn that, it's not going to work out for you. If you're not in it for genuine reasons, if you're not there, it's never going to happen. It's just never going to happen. And I think that's something I always knew. You have to be genuine about it. You have to really truly want it for, good reasons. But I don't think I ever fully understood how deep that ran or the scope of that. So during that time in my life when I competed for the last time in teen, I was not in a good space mentally, and I'm very blessed to say that I am someone who has literally never been depressed, never had an anxiety disorder, never had anything like that. I really truly pride myself, and I think it's such a gift that I was blessed with such good, I guess, coping mechanisms, emotional strength. I am very, very blessed that I've never had to deeply, deeply struggle with that. But, from the outside looking in, I know I was not in how I normally am, how I normally think. I think I had graduated high school at this time. I think I had. I graduated high school, and, again, whole different, branching off into whole different things, but I graduated high school, and I really was scared and had no idea where the rest of my life was headed, because my original plan is I was going to go to this 4-year university and do what everybody else was doing, and that was just not something that's feasible for me. Monetarily, fundamentally, it was just not something ever going to be feasible for me. I have always had a passion for education, and putting myself in a 4-year university, $100,000 in debt for an undergraduate degree, but an elementary education degree, it wasn't feasible, and that wasn't something that ever clicked in my head, and I was super upset about it. I knew it wasn't necessarily the path that was the easiest or that I should have taken, or, I just wanted it, right? And like I said, I'm very headstrong. It takes a lot to change my mind. Again, trial by fire. So I just felt really lost, really stuck. I was stuck in a relationship that I wasn't happy in at all, and I knew that. Yet I continued to stick with it. I was not myself, because that's not Kelsey. Okay, that's not me. That's not who I am. I'm stronger than that, and I knew better than that, and I continued to, I guess, live in the rut that I lived in, and was just a really unsure, not a super confident person. Was I confident in how I looked and, my demeanor? Yeah, of course. I have always, that sounded really condescending, sorry. I've just always, I think life is too short to dwell about your appearance. So I've always been confident in how I look, how I present myself, yada, yada, yada. That wasn't the issue. What the issue was so internal, so deeply rooted internally. And it didn't really hit me till 6 months ago. How deep that rut I was in, or how deep deeply I was hurting myself, I guess. So I was just a really unsure, not a confident person, was not happy with my morals, my values. I wasn't sticking to them. And that reflected, I didn't place at all the year I did when I was 18. I didn't place at all. I didn't do any coaching because I had like 2 mock interviews or a mock interview, and Chloe helped me do my paperwork. But I didn't place at all. I mean, I won the evening gown award, but again, I didn't place. I didn't make top 15, none of that. And I remember, and me and all my girlfriends who had been competing together for years, we were shocked. I was like, what? It was almost like I really truly half-assed it. Did my own hair, did my own makeup, thought I was doing myself a favor. Oh, I'm so unique, blah, blah, blah. It wasn't because of that. It was because I almost thought I could do it that easy. Was not in that headspace. Again, this was almost now 3 years ago. Yeah, this was 3 years ago. 2 or 3 years ago. I can do math, you guys. I can do math, okay? Something about when it comes to years, I know my dad is 56, but if you had to tell me, like, how old was your dad? He was born in 1968. How old was your dad in 2020? I would be like, I don't fucking know. I have no idea, okay? Something about years. I can't do it. But anyways, this year, I took 2 years off after I aged out of teen. I'll be 21 this next month. So I took 2 years off after I aged out of teen, and really put in the work. And I mean really put in the work. And I have put in the work in myself outside of competition, outside of pageantry, which is honestly where I think it matters the most. Because you can't put in this work because you want the crown, if that makes any sense. You have to do the inner work because it's you, it's what you want for yourself. It's you know what I'm saying? It's hard to put into words. But anyways, I have grown tremendously in these past 2 years. Tremendously. If you would have told me 2 years ago, where I would be at in life or mentally, I would have been like, oh damn, okay. Not what I thought, not what I would have hoped for myself, because I really hoped for the traditional experience. But genuinely now looking back, I couldn't be more grateful and more proud of the woman that I am, and B, where I'm at, because everyone has their own path. And I think that's something our generation gets so caught up in is, am I on track with everybody else? Because newsflash, and I know it's easier said than done, no one else knows what they're doing, truly. No one else. Also, no one's paying attention to you that closely. Promise. Everyone has their own crap to worry about, Do you, okay? Go for what you're passionate about, because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter. And you have no idea what's going on behind the scenes or how people are living their lives. Just as an example, sorry, we're going off on a side route rant. Someone's posting on Instagram, they're going all these places, they're traveling, they're like, oh my gosh, you have so much money, blah, 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 blah. What if they're putting themselves in tens of thousands of dollars in credit card debt? Did you ever think of that? You know what I mean? Like, you just never know. Focus on yourself. You're on the path you're supposed to be on. Don't worry about what anybody else is doing, because nobody else knows what they're doing. And you only have one life, and stick to you. And we weren't even built humanly, like, our brains shouldn't even be able to understand what is going on all the time in people's lives across the world. That's not how we're made. It's overwhelming. It's so overwhelming when we have social media and stuff that's constantly, showing us, and we're constantly in comparison with other people. That's not how we're supposed to operate, so it's super overwhelming. It's super stressful. Just focus on you. And that's something I really learned to do and to appreciate, was where I'm at in life, how I'm doing, all sorts of stuff. Really take that time and get to know myself and be proud of that. So for the past 2 years, that's kind of the growth that I've been on, like what I really want in life, what's important to me, my values, my morals, really defining all of that. And I'm a really hard worker, and I'm really proud of that. You know, I have worked for the past at least, what has it been? 7 months? For the past 7 months, I've been working 3 jobs. 3 jobs. In school full time, you know, doing all these things. I've been working my little butt off, okay? For nobody else's satisfaction but my own. It's all for myself, okay? You know, I make my own money. I have my own bills to pay. I have my own, you know, whatever. I do it for nobody else but myself. No one's holding a gun up to my head saying I have to work 3 jobs, okay? I have been doing that. Granted, now it's only 2. But besides the point. So when I decided I was going to compete for my first Miss year in March, I decided I was going to do it. I was like, you know what? I'm ready. I'm ready, because Miss is a completely different ballgame than teen. Now, Miss this year has seen some changes because we can't keep an owner of the Miss USA organization. So the Miss who was ever in charge, and now I don't know who did this, if it was the owner of the Miss Universe organization or if it was the owner of the Miss USA organization, that stripped away policies such as, for example, just last year you had to be under 28. The age limit to compete in Miss was 18 and 28. Could have never been married before, could have never had kids, could not have been pregnant, like nothing. All of that was taken away this year. And obviously that crosses my mind, not in a bad way, but just being like, that is a new range of competition, right? Because already being 20 years old, competing against 26, 27, 28-year-old women who are extremely established, you know, in their career, they've been out of college or whatever they've been doing for 4 years, you know? So that's already a different level of competition. Not because, you know, one's accomplishments mean more than another, not at all, just that they're so different. So now having that age range of competition being open to mothers, you know, 35-year-olds who, for example, could have been out of law school and had an insane law career, you know, it just opened an entirely different playbook, basically. And I was like, okay, so if I'm going to do this, I need to be really, really sure of the woman that I am. Being 20 years old, competing against these beautiful, successful, older, established women, I need to be sure of who Kelsey Kruger is. And I did a lot of reflecting on it, and I was like, you know what? I am. I know exactly who I am. I know exactly what my values are, what's important to me, what I want to do in life. And this is something I'm going to tackle. And, you know, I went into this knowing I want a Miss year under my belt, and this is something that, you know, I would love to show off everything that I've been working so hard at and that I'm super proud of, and just showcase who Kelsey Kruger is and the woman that I am. It just meant a lot to me. So this year I put my all into this pageant. Like, I mean my all. I did all the things. I flew to Houston and went and got my headshots done with the amazing, literally world-renowned grant photo. Brought my grandma with me, which was literally the most beautiful experience ever. Me and my grandma both sobbed, let me tell you. It was also Grandma Joyce's first time taking Uber. Hello. She is my inspiration in this life, is my grandma. So just even being able to share an experience like that with her, and I'm gonna cry, like, just so amazing. So did that, and, you know, I'm a preschool teacher, I'm in school full-time. Education is something I'm really passionate about. Children are something I'm extremely passionate about. That's not something that'll ever go away, that I, you know, could ever fabricate. Makeup, I have done, you know, I'm doing a lot of work with children. Warren Village, I got to showcase that charity that I'm super passionate about. I hired a fitness trainer, because, you know, I felt, and this is just my personal opinion on swimsuit, I think it doesn't matter how you look in that swimsuit, it's how you feel in that swimsuit, and I felt like I had to earn being in that bikini in heels on a stage. I felt like I had to earn that. So hired a fitness trainer, really, really good habits. And when I tell you, I think, you know, working my 2-3 jobs, when I tell you I was working 6 days every single week for 4 months, 3 months and getting up early, going to bed super late, getting my workouts in, getting school done, starting this podcast. Because I was like, this is also something I'm super passionate about and I need to do it. There's no excuse. I need to do it. So I just put my all into everything. Coaching Chloe, and Chloe is so near and dear to my heart. Clearly, Chloe's been working with me for years. So Chloe just became a mommy. How exciting. And for her to take the time to work with me, help me work on myself, perfect. There's always room for growth. Really nail down my interview skills has meant the world to me, and I put it all in here. And I wouldn't have changed literally a singular thing. I wouldn't have changed a singular thing. I placed second runner-up out of, I don't remember what it was, like 48 women. Second runner-up, my first Miss Pageant. Clearly you just heard my entire track record. I've never done that well. And I truly, truly, genuinely believe that it's because of all the inner work and how sure of myself I am. Because, this thing, I could not imagine being a judge. There's women who are Air Force officers and pilots and have flown freaking airplanes and are lawyers and are doctors. How do you compare that? You don't. Because everybody's accomplishments are uniquely their own and beautiful and unique to another, and nobody's beauty takes away from somebody else's. And that's what I love about pageantry. I just knew that I put in the work on myself to perform how I wanted to perform, and I felt like that shed really well. I did my on-stage question and conquered that fear. That was crazy. I think I did a phenomenal job. Picking a random question out of a bowl and having to, on your feet, think of a articulate right answer, not only just, spit something out, but have your brain do what I explained it has to do in the beginning. On stage in heels, under pressure and stage lights, and you feel like you're gonna pass out. Yeah, it was amazing. Just the entire experience was so empowering, and I can't wait to do it again. I can't wait to be back. This is not something I'm ever going to, give up on. It's truly a big passion of mine. But I think what meant the most to me, truly, was the support that I received from my friends and family and coworkers. When I tell you, I had so many coworkers, co-teachers, buy tickets to my pageant, show up for me. Kim, I know you're watching, and I love you. Kim, my sweet co-teacher, showed up for me, rooting me on, cheering me on. I had a friend throw an entire watch party for me. Seeing those videos after the pageant of their reactions and watching me compete legitimately made me ugly ball. Made Carl, my father, have some tears welling in the face. My boss, everybody that I love and who is important to me showed up for me in more ways than one. My friend Jaden, who will be editing this, love you, edited and posted my first podcast episode like 4 or 5 hours before I went into interview at like 3 in the morning. I have never felt so loved or blessed in my entire life. And genuinely, as cheesy as it sounds, I feel like I've won. I feel like I've won in the game of life. It was just such a beautiful experience for me. And I truly think that it is an environment that every woman should put themselves in. It pushes you to grow in ways you never thought you could. You just, the friendships you make, the lasting friendships I have from pageantry, the inspiring, amazing women I've met through pageantry, how uplifting it is, and how proud you stand with those other women, feeling so proud to be a woman. It's just genuinely such a phenomenal experience of women empowering other women. And I'm sure there's a bajillion more things I could say about pageantry. In fact, I know there is. But I'm just going to leave it with pageantry is, you know, I'm always going to be a pageant girl. There's something in me that's, you know, just, it holds such a place in my heart. And I just wanted to share it with you, especially coming out of my first Miss Colorado USA pageant. And I can't wait to take you on, you know, we'll talk about the journey later, because, you know, I'll recompete, but I need some break. But I think that's where the anxiety is coming from, is literally constantly being in survival mode for the past 3 or 4 months. And now that I actually have like a few hours a day to maybe breathe, I'm like, oh my god, I don't know what to do with myself. Anyways, so here's this episode, and thank you guys for loving me and supporting me, truly. Every single one of you that are watching, but to all of my friends and family that have shown me so much love, I feel like the luckiest woman alive, genuinely. And I love you all, and I can't wait to see you in the next episode. Bye.